Before I start this video, I just want to remind you all that I have a live stream coming on Saturday the 17th of March. It will be about 9 PM GMT time, so you may need to check your time zones and where you live. So that is what is happening. Saturday, March 19th, Random Horror Live. Hope to see you there. Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to this month's Horror Talk. Well, the first of two Horror Talks this month, as Triple Threat is an every other month thing. So, this Horror Talk is going to be on the horrors of Stephen King, as voted by the Horror Amino community. If you don't know what Horror Amino is, it's an app called Amino, where you can join various different communities and genres in whatever your favourite interests are. It doesn't have to be like film genres like horror, it could be like, art or cultural things, anything like that. So yeah, I'm on Horror Amino, and I set up a poll. You can do that, set up polls, write blogs and what have you, short stories, and yes, like I just said, I set up a poll and said to the members of the horror community in Horror Amino, what topic do they want me to discuss in the next Horror Talk. It was a choice of 5, because you can only post up to 5 options, and they all voted Stephen King. So here I am doing a horror talk on the horrors of Stephen King. Now, of course, Stephen King, he is probably one of the best horror authors of all time. He's born in 1947. He has been writing books, and they've been made into movie adaptations. He's even written a few short films in Creepshow, some of them. Creepshow, he wrote some shorts especially for that film, even though a lot of them were based on short stories that he'd written as books and all that. He's had some books and that adapted into TV shows, TV series, like The Mist and Kingdom Hospital, all become television series. The Mist was also a film as well. But I'm here, because there's so many adaptations of Stephen King's books. I thought this video would go on for hours if I talk about every single book that's been made into a film or TV show or whatever. So I've just done my top 5 favourites of Stephen King, and I'm going to discuss those. The top 5 Stephen King adaptations and what have you that I've selected are Carrie, The Shining, Pet Semertery, Misery, and It. So let's get started with this. So, starting with Carrie. Now, this was the first ever Stephen King book to be made into a film. It was published in 1974 and was adapted into a movie in 1976, basically it's like a young girl that is picked on and bullied, and even at home she doesn't get a break from it all, as she has an abusive religious whack job of a mother called Margaret White. Poor Carrie. And she then discovers that she has telekinesis, like psychic abilities, and she can make things move with her mind. Now, I can't remember the actress's name. It was Carrie. Maybe I should have put it down in notes or something. But I like this one, even though the trailer gave a lot of the film away. If you have never seen Carrie, the original film from 1976, don't watch the trailer because it'll ruin the film for you. That's what I think anyway. And this film also had a young John Travolta in it before Saturday Night Fever, about a year before. And then, of course, the film was remade in 2013 with Chloe Grace Moretz as the titled character and Julianne Moore as her mother. Now, the remake, I find, is a little bit more truer to the book. A lot of people did a shit on this film and that, but I think this was quite a decent remake. Not many remakes are brilliant. I mean, I much prefer the 1976 original, but the 2013 remake I still find watchable, and that. So yes, Carrie. And then the next one of my top favourites is The Shining, based on the 1977 novel The Shining, and then many years later it got a sequel called Doctor Sleep. I've not read the book The Shining, but this one did get made into a movie in 1980, directed by Stanley Kubrick, and then redone again as a TV series. Now, I've only ever seen the 1980 film, and it is said to be one of Stanley Kubrick's masterpieces, and I would say it is. Basically, if you've seen The Shining and that, you know that it's about writer Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, who wants to just find a quiet place to write his book, so he thinks no place better than the Overlook Hotel where he stays for the winter doing a caretaker job. And of course, when it's deserted for the winter, we get, a lot of bizarre and strange events start to unfold, as the hotel has many dark secrets. Now, people say that the Overlook Hotel is a living entity, and it probably is. There are many bizarre and scary scenes, including the hallway scene where Danny's pedaling his tricycle in the hallway and he sees those twins, and then next thing they're butchered all over the place. Even the elevator that when blood pours out, which was in the trailer to the film. Yeah, and then there was that bizarre scene with the man-dog thing. What the hell is that scene got to do? And I've done a bit of research on it. It was something to do with the party back in the 20s or something. Basically, the ending as well. Now, not many people get the ending. I didn't, but from what I can theorise and gather, the ending of The Shining was Jack Torrance. He basically became part of the hotel, and he was trapped in that party or something. Forever. I don't get the ending to The Shining much, but then again, is it one of those endings that don't need to be explained? Yeah. But yeah, I love Stanley Kubrick films. He's done loads of adaptations of books like Clockwork Orange and all that. Yeah, I think Stanley Kubrick was quite the artist when he did films, right up until his death in 1999. Okay, so, next lot of films. So my next favourite adaptation of a Stephen King book is on Pet Semertery. Now, Pet Semertery, this will always have a special place for me because this was probably the first ever horror film to scare me so much that I didn't sleep the night I watched it. In fact, I can remember when and where I was when I watched Pet Semertery. I even remember what channel it was on. It was on Channel 5 from 9 p.m. to 11:30, I think. But yeah, I remember when I watched it, I found it scary, and then I laid awake the very night I watched it. It was June the 3rd, 2003. I was about 12, 2 days before my 13th birthday, and I remember laying awake, because I couldn't stop thinking about the film at all. All night I was watching the film, I was thinking about that film, how much it creeped the hell out of me. But, and Pet Semertery is based off the 1983 book of the same name. I remember just, watching it, being creeped out by it, and, that's what horror is to me. It has to be scary and unsettling, and that's exactly what Pet Semertery was. I never saw the second one, Pet Semertery 2. I've been told to avoid that one because it's not as good, and I haven't done it so far. So, Pet Semertery, it's basically this family move in. The father family is a doctor. They have this old neighbour who is played by Herman Munster in the film, and he shows them around and shows them a pet cemetery. And of course, when the family pet church gets run over whilst the wife's out of town with the kids, the old guy shows the father, Dr. Creed, where to bury it, and they're not burying it in the pet cemetery. And I thought, as if they go all that way to bury a cat. I watched this film quite recently, and I thought, as if they go that far to bury a cat, but then they bury it in what was a Native American burial ground, which could resurrect the dead, but not bring them back the same, make them evil zombies. And that's exactly what happened to Church, the family cat. That little cat, he's so evil. I reckon Cujo would easily beat him in a fight. And basically, yeah, that's what the cat does, unleashes terror and that. But then in the film, in fact, I don't think I'm spoiling this now, little Gage Creed, the family's son, he gets killed by a truck, and in the film we don't actually see him get hit by the truck, but we do see a balloon float off into the sky, and a little shoe, which was sad, and quite risky at the time, killing a kid in a film. But that's when Creed realised that he could bring Gage back and buried him in the pet cemetery, the Native American ground. His wife, completely unaware that he's an evil little zombie, she gets killed. Also, the kid kills the old man, and then it's like Gage and Church become Gage becomes sort of Church's little sidekick, because they're doing all kinds of evil stuff together. And of course the father decides to go and handle this, and realises the mistake he's made, and then of course he manages to kill Church and Gage. And yeah, Gage is an evil little bugger in this. He turns into an evil little bugger and has a scalpel. Kills the old man, but then again, I think it's the old guy's fault for bloody showing in the place. Then, of course, at the end, we all know he buries his wife in the burial, and then she comes back, all disfigured and oozing out and everything, and they both snog. You think he'd have learnt his lesson by then, but yeah, she grabs a knife and the screen cuts to black, and we hear his scream, and that's pretty much it. Now, for my 12-year-old self, that did scare the hell out of me, but these days, to be honest, to me, now, horror, I'm so immune to it all. Jump scares can get me still, make me jump if I don't see it coming. And also, for me, it's more about the shock value and the disgust these days, because disgust and shock and everything, like the human centipede and that messed with my head for a while, and I was a long time before I got the guts to see the others. But I'm not talking about that now, I'm talking about Stephen King horror. So yeah, Pet Semertery, yeah, great film. I've not read the book, but I imagine the book must be good. Should I read the book? I'm meaning to do more reviews on like other things in horror, like books and some. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see me like find the book and read it and that. Next we got Misery. Now Misery I've seen a few times. Basically, what's the writer's name now? Paul? Yeah, Paul Sheldon. Yeah, that's it. He's a writer. He's been writing a series of books called the Misery series and decides he wants to kill the main character off. In a snowstorm, he unfortunately gets crashed and rescued and nursed back to health by the film's antagonist, Annie Wilkes. At first she's nice and nurturing, asks if she can read his manuscript for his latest Misery book, and when she finds out that he's killed off his favourite characters, she's pissed off and she tortures him and forces him to rewrite his whole book again and stuff. And yeah, the man's just suffering, and basically it lives up to its name. It's absolute misery for him, and probably the decent thing he does at the end is burn the book, and that's when he takes advantage and kills Annie, because she's an insane old cow. This is based on the 1987 novel. Again, not read this one, but still, maybe I should try and find time to read the book. See, I don't get a lot of time to read these days because I'm so busy with work and doing these videos for you lot. Okay, so my favourite one, the best one I've saved for last, is of course It, based on the 1986 novel of the same name. This is a book I've read. I remember back when I was like 18 and that, I borrowed a book from a library and I read it. It took me a while to get through it all, but I managed to read it. God, my eyes were tired after all that reading, but I read it, and I even saw the 1990 miniseries and of course the 2017 adaptation of the book, of the film. So yes. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the book that was removed from like the both adaptations, including like acts of that involve like paedophilia and all that stuff, and a lot of messed up stuff in the book that they did right by not putting in the films, in my opinion. I don't know what Stephen King was doing when he wrote this book. What people say that he was stoned when he wrote it. Because those were like his young days when he was, on the stuff. But I don't know. But it gave us one of the most notorious horror villains of all, Pennywise the Dancing Clown. So the miniseries was broadcast on TV in 1990. They were a two-parter, 2 episodes, all an hour and a half long, because the book is very long itself. But they were put into like 90-minute episodes, and the first part, of course, focused on the kids, how they came across Pennywise and that. In this adaptation, Pennywise was portrayed by the great Tim Curry, who was very unrecognisable, and apparently that hair that we see is his real hair. But I like Tim Curry as Pennywise, from the very moment we saw him in the sewers in the opening scene when he went, "Hiya, Georgie," and that, before unleashing his teeth and horror and evil eyes and that, and then it cuts. We don't see what happens next. But in the 2017 adaptation, where Bill Skarsgård is playing Pennywise. We'll get to that shortly. Right now, I just want to talk about the miniseries. They had a lot of young kid actors in this, including a young Seth Green as one of the kids. There was also, that first part was pretty much like for the 2017 version. The kids all come across Pennywise. They're all facing their fears and inner demons, and then at the end of part one, they make the oath to come back in 30 years in the miniseries to face Pennywise once again. The first part in the miniseries was set in the 50s. Then we go to the present day in part 2, where Pennywise has come back and is up to no good again. And yeah, this time as grown-ups they face on Pennywise again, and in this we see his true form, apparently, which is like a giant spider. Because Pennywise, he's like a creature from a different dimension that takes the shape of everything you could ever be scared of. His personal favourite, of course, is the dancing clown, and that's what we get. In 2017, the film was, well, there's debates about it, whether it's a remake or not. But they made it into a theatrical film with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise this time, and had various young teen actors, including one of the kids from Stranger Things playing the Losers Club. That's what the kids are called in both adaptations, the Losers Club, because they're like, well, basically losers. But they're all a group of friends, and basically, it's the first part of it, as I forgot to mention about the 1990 series. It's basically just a coming of age story as well as a horror film. I like this take on it. When they said if it does well, they'll do a part 2, I pray to God that this will be successful so we can get a part 2, and it was, and they are doing a part 2 which will be out in 2020. Oh no, 2019. Yeah, 2019 I think. Anyway, that will follow on the kids as adults. But in this 2017 version, they decide to go back to the book, because Pennywise apparently resurfaces once every 27 years. So basically, the new one was set in 1989, so if they go 27 years, it'll be 2016 when they come across Pennywise again. And they've kept it quiet on who they're casting as the adult versions of the kids. For Beverly, Sophia Lillis's character, they've said that people are debating whether it should be Amy Adams, but I think they'll probably be unknown actors or something. I don't know. We'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it. But Bill Skarsgård is definitely coming back as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Now, I liked Bill Skarsgård and I liked Tim Curry, but when it comes to scariness, well, first of all, I don't have a fear of clowns or anything, but I know a lot of people who do. I can't answer that. Who wears it better, Bill Skarsgård or Tim Curry? Tim Curry had a bit of humanity features to him, and he did look like he was pretending to be nice. But Bill Skarsgård, he's just evil looking and sinister, and looks like he's not even pretending to be nice. The 2017 It I found very unsettling, very dark, which is what a horror needs to be, as I've already said. But I enjoyed the hell out of the 2017 It and the miniseries, but I have to say, when it came to the riskiness, we're in a different age now, and basically in the 2017 film they put bits in there that they just wouldn't have got away with in 1990 in the miniseries. We even see in the opening scene when Pennywise goes, "Hiya, Georgie." We see him get his arm bit off by Pennywise. Very disturbing, I have to say, seeing a kid get killed in a horror, which I haven't really seen much of, I'll admit that. But yeah, I love Bill Skarsgård's performance in this. He's like he's from a big Swedish family of actors. From Stellan Skarsgård, his father, to his brothers, one including Alexander Skarsgård from True Blood. Anyway, yes. Yeah, I look forward to chapter 2 when that comes out. So yeah, that's. Is there anything more for me to discuss on this? No. So yeah, basically, if that's it for this month's horror talk. And we will have another horror talk which will be up later this month. It will be on the Cornetto trilogy because this time I'm going to do one that I'm choosing personally, and I chose the Cornetto trilogy, so that'll be on later this month. But yeah, if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the notification bell. All my social media links, all linked down below. So until next time, don't have nightmares.